Nemophila Go, the music video. Look, this is one that I am really looking forward to checking out. There's a couple of things though that's going to make this reaction a little bit different from the ones that you're maybe used to seeing. Hopefully, I'll be able to add a little bit of interesting context here though. Actually, before I get into any of that, I am in a hotel at the current moment. I've only got a limited amount of time to record this, and there is room service happening outside, which is probably why you can hear a vacuum cleaner out there. I can't do anything about that, I guess. Limited time, I can't do anything about that. But I will try and tell you why I'm specifically doing this one and why I'm kind of excited about this. Because actually, this is their, it's another one of the songs that I believe is entirely self-produced, that's continuing that part of their career. But I'm mostly here for the music video, because this music video came out last night, and to be honest, everyone keeps on contacting me saying it's a really great music video. You've got to check it out. You've got to see it. I don't know why, but I'm interested to see the reason why. However, when it comes to the song itself, I had already heard the song, and I really enjoyed it. It was a fairly simple, straightforward song, but I just remember thinking this has a lot of impact. This is a really good single. We discussed this on Ears to the East, which is the reason why I checked out the audio earlier than I usually would have done. I was usually have waited for a music video, but I checked it out to discuss it on Ears to the East. But then this music video dropped. Everyone tells me it's great, so I want to check it out. Interestingly enough, this kanji at the bottom, I had sort of read it as meaning like kind of like business or industry as such. Like I did double check that though just now, and I found out that actually that's also the Buddhist symbol for karma. Now, given that we obviously had the Gozo album and all of the sort of traditional references that had in the title, I'm assuming that that's what they were going for with this one. So I'm assuming that rather than talking about business and industry, they're actually talking more about the Buddhist symbol for karma. So we're going to have a little listen and check all of that out. But yeah, as I point out, this is primarily in relation to the video. Now, myself, I have I have a particular interest in these videos because of the fact that I am, I've directed a few videos, nothing super high profile, but directed a few of them. I find the concept in these things to be particularly interesting. So I am really looking forward to seeing why so many people have been telling me, Howard, you've got to check this one out, it's awesome. Let's find out together. As always, I will be 100% honest about what I see and what I hear. One thing I do remember, though, is I really enjoyed this song the first time out, which was... I've only really listened to it that one time when we did the review on East to the East. But anyway, let's check it out. I'm looking forward to seeing what we get from the video and being reunited with a song that I'm still very new to. Floaty clips. It's very much immediately kind of got that, like, well, I guess as the song would suggest, it's got that kind of early 2000s new metal-esque vibe, very industrial. Fisheye lenses, everyone's gonna love fisheye lenses. I feel like you can immediately get the vibe so directly. And again, it's that whole thing about having like a visual language that matches what you're hearing. All of those close-up fisheye lenses like that getting you much closer to the movement. I'm kind of interested that CGI block from the beginning is not hovering around at the top of these shots like it was. I'm wondering how they're going to tie that up. There's a bit of a visual inconsistency there. Now this bit's going to be kind of interesting because obviously the bridge was very notably, well, indented. The kind of cutesy let's go, actually, I didn't even really register that before, but that's a great counter. Yeah, I forgot about this double time bit. This is really well handled as well. I really like this. It's nice because everything's had such a consistent rhythm that doing this at the end really. Listen to that cymbal. I really like the way that cymbal's recorded. That really sort of, really getting a metallic tone out of it. Okay, there's a lot to kind of go into in this. It's strangely enough, a lot of it in relation to how they've channeled what is basically a very simple song. It is a very simple song, but it's like that's what's nice about it. And this is what I was saying on the whole Ears to These thing, is it's the fact that it's simple, but everything about it really has impact. Right down to that decision to go double time at the end there. You really feel like they've taken a song that's already kind of got into your head, it's having the right effect, and it's like, well, we've got to still give it more. We can't just sort of phone it in for the last chorus. We've got to give it extra drama until you get that extra power from the double time at the end. I think it's interesting because when we discussed this, it did seem like I perhaps liked this more than the other two hosts. And yeah, I think it's just because for me, this does what you want from a single. It's a crowd pleaser. You know when the headbang, it's got the kind of like all of the things that everyone knows and likes from like these kind of loud crowd pleasing rock songs. But I do feel as well like there's a lot put into the actual the tones. So for example, I was mentioning about this bit here where I think it's around about here. Maybe a little bit earlier. I'm going to guess maybe around here when you can hear the sorry, I've completely blanked on what it's called. It's not the is it the China cymbal? But you really the one that's concave. You really get to hear the kind of the feeling of that, and I think it adds again. It's that sense of like this slightly more chaotic, industrial-esque tone that really works. You've got that. Then during the bridge, there's that really low droning sound that kind of adds a kind of a throaty rasp to everything. Let's just have a little listen to that again. You can hear it under there, actually, that low drone I was talking about. It's just kind of I think it's coming off of the guitar. Apologies, this is one of those ones where real guitar heads will know all about this. But you get that really low droning, throaty kind of sound. And it's kind of like this subliminal thing that's underneath it, giving us kind of an uncomfortable, uneasy sound to everything. And I think, again, for a song that's not doing anything super complicated, those little touches, and especially considering, actually, I didn't even think to mention this. Of course, this is now them in their self-produced era, so that's the kind of thing that was not a producer saying let's do this to add extra depth, as you would assume with many other recordings. This is something that they wrote in and put in. Oh, there we go. Freezing computer. Is it around here? Yeah. Listen how she's using that cymbal on the far right. Damn. Oh, she's doing it off the crashes, okay. Yeah, there's something about that whole section where the sound is just really, really nicely recorded, nicely, a real sort of sense of presence to it. But anyway, I'm actually here to talk more about what's going on visually. And from a visual aspect, I've got to be so being reunited with the song after only a couple of days, but still, this is kind of really my second proper listen to it. Yeah, I think it's a really great single. Is it the sort of thing where I consider it like a timeless classic? No, I just think it's an effective single. You know, so songs don't all have to be timeless. They don't all have to be like the standout, exceptional example of what a band or a genre is capable of. Sometimes they just have to be really engaging, and that's what I think this is. I would say, again, controversial opinion. This is why I would say that this would have been great being on Gozo, because I think Gozo missed having something like this. Gozo was very good at having the panicky, hectic kind of songs, which is great, but variation is always powerful, and I think this would have been a great addition there, because this is definitely a song that I do not think Gozo has this kind of track on it, but definitely would be improved by having a track like this on it. However, okay, visual. I will get onto the. I'm just finally getting into the visual aspect. Visual aspect. Yeah, this was very much. If you were alive, in the early 2000s. Yeah, this has all of the trademarks of early 2000s. It's like sort of greyish industrial looking area, the kind of excessively cool over the top haircuts. I know she loves them anyway, doesn't she? The even the clothing kind of gives you that vibe. But of course the fisheye lens was very much popularized during that era, and I do think it's used very well here. Again, when you've got a setting like this, I mean, the surrounding area is interesting in kind of an atmospheric way, but the thing that you really have to say about using a location like this is that it's atmospheric, but it's also a very dead location. You know, I mean, for something where you're looking to project a lot of energy, this kind of location is big and impressive, but it's still, you know, it's you can blink your eyes and immediately just one look you can take in what it is. It's not like one of those things where you look at it and just your eyes are captured by so much going on in the background. And that's fine, but of course when you've got something like this where it's all about movement, that also means that it's impressive on scale, but it also works against the sort of pace of the song. And the way they've overcome that is like, you know, you've got these sort of close-up zoom shots, but then a lot of the fisheye stuff, what it does is, you know, it makes things, you know, obviously brings things closer, allows you to get closer as a cameraman, but it also gives everything a sense of movement. You know, things fill the screen more. The movement is a much more visceral, you know, things, you know, the hand here feels much closer because it's in that sort of center frame. And you know, I think this is a very good way of giving an extra sense of movement and motion to what you're filming. So I really like that technique. I do think, though, ironically, this actually makes a similar error, I would say. A similar, very clear mistake. Well, okay, I'm probably going to catch a bit of flack for this. I think it's a mistake. I'm going to have to look through and see, because looking here, where this block appears to be an area with an open ceiling. And I think this area over here has got the ceiling. Maybe this is where the performance is filmed. It's not really clear, but they do make a big deal out of this. It's there at the beginning, it's there at the end. They're looking at it. It does its thing, but yeah, see, now it's exploded within the confines. So you can see the ceiling is above it now. Sorry, that's my computer telling me I'm running out of hard drive space. You can see now it is within this room. And then where are they performing? Are they performing in the same room? Because if they're performing in the same room, as they appear to be. I can't, yeah. I keep on saying this. You can never get YouTube to land on the frame it claims you're about to land on. There we go. That looks like the same room. And, yeah. We get a lot of these upwards looking shots where you can very clearly see that the thing that's apparently rotating above them is not rotating above them. And then at the end it comes together. Yeah, that seems like a visual inconsistency. I'll be honest with you, I would just not put it in. Or I would do something like I would go out to the front of the building and have it look like it happened out front. You know, maybe have them walk in underneath looking up at it. As it does that, then they walk in, and then they walk out at the end underneath it as it comes together or something. It just seems really weirdly visually inconsistent to add something like that. And this is clearly a budgetary thing, because, I mean, you know, it's difficult when you've got like these upwards pointing shots to keep that consistency going. Not impossible. I mean, these days with the technology you have, and there's not that many up-looking shots, they could have simulated that in, but it's just not there. So, yeah, I think the video has a lot of things going for it, but I do think that the use of CGI is just visually inconsistent and a little bit confusing. I actually think it detracts. I think they could have just done better to either use that differently or not use it at all. But the actual performance aspects, the way it's filmed, the way it's videoed, I think that's fantastic. I think that's great. Really, really good job there. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that one. Honestly, yeah, as a song, I think my feeling on both the song and the video is actually probably in very similar territory. It's both very functional and functional sounds like such a dry word, but both of them are definitely very impactful and fun at the time, rather than necessarily being the most memorable or standout things I've ever heard from this band. But again, I do think it needs to be said, you don't need to expect everything a band to produce to be the best thing they've ever produced. Not everything has to be an improvement, as though improvement were a linear curve where some things are just objectively better than others. Context is massively important, and from my perspective, I think one of the things I most enjoy about this is that it is a follow-up. Yeah, I'd say a follow-up to Gozo. You know, it feels like, I mean, this has come out at a different time in their career. I mean, who knows what it would have felt like. But at this particular point, it feels like it is the one thing that I personally found missing from Gozo. I liked the hectic-y, panicky, chaotic sound, but I felt like it needed something that was just straightforward impact to root that. And this does feel like that. I feel like, therefore, as a song and as a video, I think it's actually quite an effective number. Not the one I would come back to the most. Not my personal favourite by them. But definitely something where I go, yeah, right now, that's kind of, yeah, I like that you're doing that with your career. So, yeah, and also, again, I have to give extra credit. I think the production's top-notch. I think they did a really good job with the production on this. They are definitely going for this more straightforward, raw sound, and again, I respect that. If you're self-producing, you know, don't try to bite off more than you can chew. Just be really good at what you are doing, you know. Keep it simple, but keep it effective. And again, they've done that in both aspects. So I really enjoyed this. Those are my thoughts as always. So get in the comments. Tell me what you think. And until I hopefully see you very soon for the next one of these. For now, ciao, ciao.